Our movie starts back when the world was full of magic, and it was everywhere. Over time, magic starts to vanish, leaving only a few traces behind in a city half populated by humans and half by animals. Ian wakes up on his birthday, gets dressed, and goes downstairs to see his mom making breakfast. She tells him he can invite his friends over so he doesn't have to celebrate his birthday alone. His magic-obsessed brother, Barley, shows up and deep-throats a joke with him. Then Officer Bronco comes over to complain about Barley. They keep telling Barley that he needs to stop living in the past and focus on the present and future. But Barley tries to explain his point of view and how important the past was when magic was everywhere. Ian leaves the house and heads to school. On the way, he meets a guy who turns out to be his dad's friend after seeing Ian wearing his dad's college sweatshirt. The man tells him his dad was a great and brave person and that he wished he had the same courage. Ian writes down new traits in his notebook that he wants to add to his personality, like speaking up more, learning how to drive, inviting people to a party, and becoming like his dad. Ian enters the classroom and finds a classmate named Gorgamon sitting with his feet up on his desk. Ian asks him to put his feet down, but Gorgamon refuses. Ian goes to his driving test but fails it, then nervously goes to invite his classmates to his birthday party, and they agree. His brother Barley drives by recklessly in his car, making Ian feel embarrassed as he apologizes to his classmates. He cancels his birthday party after messing up his face with the ink that was on his hand, apologizes to them, and walks away. Ian gets home, goes to his room, crosses out everything he wrote in his notebook, and plays a cassette tape with his dad's recorded voice. He listens to it deeply moved, replays it again, and talks to his dad as if he's standing right in front of him. After that, he sits with his mom and asks her about his dad, asking what he was like at his age and if he was always confident and brave. His mom tells him no, of course not, and that it took him time to figure himself out. She also tells him that his dad left him a gift and that it's time for him to take it. Ian calls Barley and tells him their dad left them a gift, and their mom says their dad asked her to give it to them when they turned 16. They open the gift and find a magic staff, which makes Barley super happy, as he says their dad was a wizard. But Ian tells them there's a letter here from Dad saying that the world was full of magic, but they couldn't control it, so magic began to fade, hoping that traces of magic would still be inside them, which is why he wrote a spell himself to see who still has magic inside them. Barley looks at the spell and tells them this spell will bring their dad back to life for one full day. Ian doesn't believe it, but Barley tells him with this staff, it's possible and not impossible. Inside the gift, Barley finds the Phoenix gem and says this will be the assisting element to bring their dad back, placing it inside the staff. He tries to activate it, but he fails every time, getting very upset. However, their mom tells him and his brother not to be sad. Even if the attempt wasn't successful enough, it's enough that their dad wanted to see them so badly that he did everything to make it happen. Ian's mom and brother step out, leaving Ian alone in the room, repeating the sentence written in the letter. Suddenly, he notices the staff moving, gets startled, and grabs it with his hand, seeing his dad emerging from a light inside the staff. His brother Barley walks in on them, amazed by the view. Barley grabs Ian and they look ahead, only to find their dad's bottom half, and Ian says he failed the spell, and instead of his dad arriving completely, only his bottom half made it. Barley tells him the problem is that he'll only stay for 24 hours before disappearing forever, so Ian says they have to perform the spell again. Barley tells him they first need to find another gem to be able to do the spell, suggesting a place where they can start looking for it. Ian and Barley drive off in the car to look for the gem. Inside the car, Ian attaches a piece of toys to his dad's body because he feels weird talking to just his bottom half. Barley gives Ian a book of magic spells and tells him he needs to practice the spell. Ian's mom enters his room and doesn't find him, finding his phone left at home, along with 2 papers showing the shape of the gem and the place they went to look for it. So she decides to take her car and go after them. Ian and Barley arrive at the location, and Barley says this place will have the map leading to the gem, not the gem itself. They go inside to look for the warrior named Manticore and ask her for the map, but she refuses to give it to them, saying she stopped sending people to dangerous places. Ian tries to beg her, saying he really wants to see his dad, but Manticore tells him you shouldn't risk your life for an adventure. Ian points out a sentence written on the wall and tells her that she wrote it herself. Manticore gets angry and sets the place on fire, causing the map to burn. Ian rushes over to save what's left of it, but he's too late. They try to run fast to escape the place that's now completely in flames, but their dad gets stuck in the middle. Suddenly, Ian uses the magic staff and finds himself succeeding in casting a spell, saving his dad. They quickly head outside, get in the car, and go to the second point that will lead them to the gem. Happy that Ian managed to use a spell, they decide to take the highway to arrive before the 24 hours end. At the same time, the mom arrives at the place her sons were at and asks Manticore about her kids. She tells her they went to look for the gem, but she forgot to tell them about the curse, meaning her kids are in danger, but she knows where they went and they can go save them. The mom decides to take Manticore and go after Ian and Barley. Barley's car breaks down in the middle of the road, and he gets out to find he ran out of gas, trying to find someone to get gas from. Ian tries to use magic, while Barley tries to help him, but Ian gets nervous and shrinks his brother Barley instead of enlarging the gas can. Ian sees a gas station ahead, goes to it, and finds small flying creatures entering the place and taking everything. Ian buys the gas quickly and leaves, while their mom was on the road with Manticore, who tells her about the Guardian's curse that appears as a monster if the two boys take the gem. She tells her the only way to face this monster is with her sword, but she sold it years ago and will try to get it back. Meanwhile, Barley and Ian run to the car after the small creatures chase them, and Barley climbs through the window to open the car because they forgot the keys inside. Ian is forced to drive the car, since his brother is now tiny and can't, while the small creatures chase Ian, who tries to escape in the car, but the creatures get inside. Ian drives as fast as he can and succeeds in escaping, and suddenly the spell wears off. The police show up and pull the car over for speeding. Their dad steps out, and the police take them in. Barley asks Ian to use magic and disguise himself as someone else, so he successfully transforms into Officer Bronco, his mom's boyfriend, and manages to convince the police to let his father go. However, the female officer tells him that Barley, his wife's son, is a failure, which saddens Barley when he hears it. The officer suspects fake Bronco after he drives off in the car and calls the station asking to speak with Bronco. Barley and Ian get out of the car and argue because Ian agreed with the officer's statement that Barley was a failure. Suddenly, they find their dad stepping out of the car, dancing to the music playing, and pulling Barley and Ian to dance with him. Afterwards, Barley asks Ian to trust him and let them take the dangerous path instead of the highway, because it's a shortcut. Ian's mom goes to an antique shop with Manticore to ask for the sword that will help them get rid of the Guardian. But after the shop owner realizes the sword's importance, she demands more money. Manticore gets angry, knocks the woman down, takes the sword, and they run away. Meanwhile, Ian and Barley reach a bottomless pit where anyone who falls in never comes back, and they see an old moving ladder that they must cross to get to the other side and reach the gem. Ian tries to use his magic to create an invisible bridge to walk on, tries walking, and finds the spell succeeded. He reaches the other side to lower the moving ladder so the car can cross, and Barley hugs him. Their mom's boyfriend arrives and talks to him about their father, but Bronco insists on them returning home, so Ian and Barley run away from him. Police cars arrive to chase them, and they hit a dead end, so Ian uses his magic to create thunder, but fails. Barley decides to sacrifice his car, pushing it off the cliff in front of the police cars to trick them into thinking they had an accident. Ian and Barley continue their way on foot, enter a tunnel, and use magic to enlarge a piece of snack food, turning it into a boat to float down the water and cross quickly. Ian's mom gets into a car accident and decides to have Manticore use her wings to fly her there. Meanwhile, Barley was telling Ian about their dad when he was sick and how he was supposed to go in to say goodbye to him, but he was scared because of the tubes attached to him, and since then, he decided never to be afraid again. They reach the shore and find a gelatinous cube in front of them that destroys anything in its path. They realize they have to run fast and jump because arrows are being shot at them from every direction. They succeed in escaping, but they enter a place full of water and manage to get out after securing their dad's feet on the ground so he can open an overhead hatch for them. When they climb up, they discover they ended up back on their own home street. Barley tries to figure out where the mistake was, but Ian tells him he wishes he hadn't listened to him and had taken the second path instead, because by now they would have arrived and he could have seen his dad and sat with him. But because of him, they failed because he's a failure. He leaves him and walks away, sitting by the lake, remembering his journey with his brother, grabbing his notebook, and realizing he accomplished everything he wrote in it while with him. He remembers when they were little and played together. Barley goes to the fountain to look for the gem and succeeds in finding it, but a lot of red smoke comes out and spreads everywhere. Barley realizes it's a curse, and the red smoke destroys everything, turning into a massive monster. Barley runs to Ian, hands him the gem. Manticore arrives, and the monster chases her. Manticore tries to strike the monster with the sword, but falls down, so Ian's mom steps up, takes the sword, and strikes the monster with it. Ian starts casting the spell to bring his dad back, but the monster gets back up. They decide to distract it, but Ian refuses, telling Barley that he should stay and say goodbye to their dad, saying that all his life he had someone looking out for him, which was Barley. But Barley lost their dad and deserves to sit with him for these few minutes. Ian goes to fight the monster with the magic in his staff, succeeding in blowing up the monster. Looking through the rubble, he sees his dad and brother hugging each other. The dad vanishes, and Ian goes to his brother, asking him what their dad said to him. Barley tells him that he said he's proud of him and asked him to give him this hug. And with that, our movie ends. Hope you liked the recap. If you reached the end, don't forget to leave a like on the video and write us a nice comment as you always do. And for those watching us for the first time, subscribe to the channel to see all the upcoming recaps. See you in the next movie. Peace.